April 20th, 2026 Commissioners Meeting. There are Title VI forms in the back corner by the door if you'd like to fill one of those out and turn it in at the Auditor's Office. If you'd please in the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And if you can remain standing, Greg Red is going to lead us in prayer.
Father God, we are so grateful for another beautiful morning that you have created for us. And Lord, as we meet together, Lord, I lift up Brian, Gabe, and Jeremy as you have chosen them to lead this county. Lord, some of the decisions that they have to make are decisions that none of us would rather stay away from. So Lord, give them strength, give them wisdom, and guidance as they run this county in a way that's pleasing to you and for those who voted for them, and even more for those who may oppose them. Lord, let us be good examples into this world. Let us be a light to all around us. And Lord, as we go throughout this day, let us remember the sacrifice you made for each one of us, so that we may be reconnected with you and have hope for eternal life. And it's in your Son, Christ Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Greg. All right, starting first with the review of the April 6th meeting minutes. You guys have any amendments?
I didn't have anything.
No, I would make a motion to accept those minutes.
I'll second that motion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? Motion carries. Moving on to claims.
Everything looked good in the claims to me.
I as well, I'd make a motion to approve claims.
I'll second that motion. All those in favor say aye.
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 Those opposed? Motion carries. Moving on to payroll for the week of April 10th, 2026, in the amount of $428,554.31.
I'd make a motion to approve payroll claims.
I'll second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? Motion carries. All right. Tim Ortman with the Highway Department.
Morning, gentlemen.
Morning.
Morning, Tim.
First item of business will be this. Our recommendation is to award that to lawyer.
All right, I've got the bids here. So lawyer's bid looks like $13,612.26. And did you go through these already to make sure everything's there? Okay. All right. Well, I'd entertain a motion.
I would make a motion to accept lawyer for our painting and striping of 200 West.
Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries. All right.
Second item's enterprise truck. So we had on last gen, didn't touch on it a whole lot. We're working with them. We're still working with them, going through the process and everything. But the lowest cost ownership undoubtedly is to purchase outright, basically, is what it boils down to, ownership versus lease. To the tune of probably about 13 to 14% difference in cost is what it would cost us if we lease versus owned. So we do have an option we can own through them, purchase through them. Basically,
State bid.
it'd be based on Sourcewell, which
Sourcewell.
is a contracted pricing
Right.
situation, plus any factory incentives would apply. So with new model years coming out, there could be some factory incentives coming down the line yet that could apply. So these are preliminary. Basically what it is, we purchase them, they have total title for a year because they are not a dealership. So it'd be $30 a month is what they charge per vehicle to run the maintenance of the fleet is what it'd be for that year. Then we had the option to buy out for $400 for that's the title and all that, et cetera, is what it'd be boiled down to.
So for clarity, this is
Yes.
much like what we do with the sheriff's department. Their enterprise purchases a vehicle, they get it outfitted to the way that meets
Yep.
your standards, your specs, then it's delivered to you, ready for operation.
Yes,
And then they would hold the title for 1 year at $30 a month,
yes.
and then we would purchase the vehicle.
Yeah, and it costs $400 to do the title transfer and all that paperwork transfer at that point. It would.
Okay, so $360 plus the 400, so $760, and then you, from there, you're saying the total cost to do it that way is 13 to 14% less than if we were to buy it and outfit it ourselves.
But then if we lease it, if we take the lease term, you know what I'm saying? So we've only preliminarily priced them. Purchase them outright through them and us is pretty close. I mean, it's not a whole lot of difference, but we don't have the legwork of transporting vehicles here to get set up, getting them set up, bring them back. We get away from all that. Plus all the warranty work for that year. If it has to be transported somewhere, we're out of all that.
Do you know what the cost difference is if you purchased it and did the outfitting yourself versus if they purchased it and did it?
It's probably, I don't know for sure. I can get it to you. The invoice of the truck, but the chassis itself is basically the same purchase price because they're both coming through the government source well on that part of it. Yes.
But did they get a better deal with the outfitters than?
We would have to price it to find out if there's a better deal on that. Yes. And I can go
Just
back.
saying, you're saving all the legwork if you went with them.
Yes.
They're doing all that for
That's
you.
what the $760 is, all the leg work and the warranty work and et cetera, is what it's saving the counties.
I understand there's a great deal of cost in two people driving a truck here and dropping it off and doing that 3 or 4 times with each outfitter, just to
Right.
be able to get it all done as well.
So now I'm not asking to go with these right now.
Right.
These are just preliminary,
Right.
just so you got an idea of what we're looking at, where we stand at this.
Yes.
If you could get us that figure of what the difference would be.
Yep. Yep.
Just so that we know. I mean,
Yeah,
if
no
it's
problem.
$500, you're gonna have way more than that in labor, moving the truck around.
Yeah.
It's interesting to see that the lease program works so well for the sheriff's department, but not for what you're using it for.
So there,
I think because a lot of it's mileage
Right,
and
okay.
terms.
the sheriff's department turns vehicles a lot quicker due to the high mileage.
Yes. I think that's where the big difference actually is, we're looking to keep something 5 to 7 years, 8 years, and a lot, probably higher cost of upgrade.
Yeah,
And
definitely.
So I think that's where it comes into.
Okay,
Different class of vehicle.
yeah. Okay, all right.
So that's what we got there. So you got any more questions on that, or we'll just keep bug checking through this?
Yeah, get us those numbers. That'd be.
We'll do that.
I'd
We'll
be
do that.
intrigued to see
But
that.
thank you for this information.
No problem.
Yeah.
That's good.
So, next one is continuation of County Road 400 West. So we was asked to go ahead and do traffic counts on the road, get pacer rate and our costs together. So, the pacer rate, the traffic count, we'll start traffic counts. So we put 2 traffic counters out, one on the south side, one on the north side. So the one on the south side down there, just north of Base Road, had an average traffic count of 38 vehicles a day. So peak traffic one day was 56. So traffic counter 2 was on the north end, up there by Northwest 240. It had an average traffic count of 22 with a peak of 39. So that's how the traffic counts
Average
felt.
traffic is 60 per day. The combined average traffic is 60.
Well, depending on which way the traffic came in and out, yep. So that's why we ran 2 traffic counters to track. So the majority of there's more traffic coming in from the south going out south than north.
Right, because the residents there are on the south,
Yes,
south of
yes.
the 90s,
Yeah, it makes sense what the data showed.
as you're coming in and out, right?
Yeah. So a little bit of history of the road. 2003 is when it was gravel. 2004 and 2005 is when it was converted to asphalt. It was done by Millings and chip and seal and a chip and seal application. So 2011 is a pacer rating 7. 2021 pacer rating 4. 2025 was a pacer rating of 3. So that kind of gives an idea of when it was done and the deterioration of the road over time, what kind of time it took to deteriorate. So, and the next one, we just kind of broke down the project cost, so you have all the projects.
Any thoughts, guys?
We do have, some guests here this morning that, I think you guys spoke last time about it. We did get your email, about your thought process of, you're okay with it as long as we do speed bumps, is what you had said. So, as far as speed bumps go, I'm personally not a fan of speed bumps. I don't think that's what we should be doing on our county roads. I know we talked about speed because that was a big problem, right? For traffic, you talked about, you thought things were, vehicles were going too fast. So the hard part for us is we can't control how people drive. We can put speed limits, we can do a reduction of speed limit in that area.
I think we all know the speed limits that we mostly ignore. Most people don't typically ignore speed limits.
Well, that's true.
I did have Tim pull that information from Purdue, and so the speed bumps, or there's three different kinds of speed bumps. There's speed bump, speed hump, and something else.
Table, I think.
The table, that's the real wide one. So those all have different classifications and speeds that they can be used, and the smallest one, which would be your speed bump, it still classifies out after 30 miles per hour. So if the road would have to be, it's designated typically for more residential areas that are 30 miles per hour and less. So with the county road falling in that 45 mile per hour, 55, okay.
The recommendation would be this, will be just when we're done, to have a traffic study done on it. Let a traffic engineer give us the recommendation, see what qualifications it falls for. And if it does, post it accordingly.
My thing is, everybody loves to talk about how our road's the detour. If there's ever a time you are pushing that much traffic down our road, that's a lot of traffic with children living on that road and animals. I mean, that's
Let me-
ridiculous to send people down that road going that fast on a beautiful wide road.
But also, this road hasn't had anything done on it since
I'm not fighting that right
we
now. I'm
can't,
fighting speed bumps.
we can't ignore that.
I
And
get that.
for me, the concern that Gabe had brought up was what we had discussed last time when I asked if there had been any situations in which a vehicle had come off of the road as it sits now and had gotten close to the house, and the answer was no. If we have speed bumps, I think there's a higher likelihood of that actually happening, because people would be losing control, especially when it's slick out.
There wouldn't be a sign up to show there's a speed bump.
Well,
if there
sure,
were
but
no
you're
speed bump.
But,
There's signs up for speed limits too, and people
and
ignore
people
those.
ignore those, yeah.
Do you ignore speed bump signs? I'm sure you ignore more speed limit signs than speed bump signs.
Definitely hit one faster than I should have.
One,
On accident, yeah.
I'd say it's a less likely chance of happening.
So it's to that. If it's a perfect sunny day, yeah, do you see them? More than likely, do you see the sign? Yes. If it's impaired road conditions such as snow or ice, and then you hit it, I think then that's where the extra caution. You may not have
You're
known.
driving fast already if it's icy.
It's not about speed, especially if it's slick. So, it's if you hit that bump and then it sends a vehicle out of control. It's controlled by speed limits. We can't put them in unless the speed limit's under 30 miles per hour.
I mean, you guys were discussing lowering the speed limit, so let's lower it.
To 45.
Well, that was my policy.
This is the first time we care of. And we have a duty here instead of 55.
Going to do that.
Yes.
I think that's a discussion that we have. I think that's a discussion that we will have, because we have to draft up something else completely, So that's,
Not entirely within your control.
that's a, so that's,
Not entirely within your control.
that's a whole nother, that's a
For
whole,
a speed limit. I
that's
mean,
a
I would push,
that's a whole nother hearing. This is just for whether or not we're doing this part of it, because there's another statute, I think there's a whole separate ordinance we would have to file on that.
Yeah, but
And-
before you're allowed,
Yeah.
like Tim said, you have to do a traffic study and it'll have to be deemed appropriate.
Yeah.
Before you're allowed to go to that.
Yeah.
Before the population density has to be so high to
Yeah.
make it allowable, so it just depends.
Right. So that today is just whether or not we're moving forward on the paving here. And what we see from the traffic study, or from the road count, is that there are more people than just your families, the folks that are living there,
And I do
traveling
wish
that
that
road.
study was done back in November when we originally asked for it, because these were put out right when farmers started planting and everything. There was about 20 rangers going up and down a day. mean, and that's another frustration, I can't speak for Shidler's on this one, but, like, we were told that, we would come back to the drawing board, just kind of look at the plans before we even came to a commissioners meeting, that never happened.
In case if we needed to move the
Like-
road line off of our property, and that meeting never happened, and now we're sitting here. So,
Like,
I
everything got
wish
really
we would've
fast
had
tracked.
that, so we could push this road off our property. I don't know, maybe things just got forgotten about and just not pushed through. But I wouldn't like the road to not be on our property.
Which we
Yeah,
did
if
here,
we're
that
just
was
good-
it.
If this road's gonna get 20-foot road, and get just crammed at us anyway, I don't want it on my property. I really
mean-
don't know why it has to be 20 feet wide. I mean, it's 12 foot now.
He wasn't at the last meeting.
You weren't at the last meeting,
Yeah.
but it is, that's a standard when we approve them. It has to be 20 feet wide.
You guys don't make any roads less than,
We're trying to get away from roads that are narrow, that make it difficult for two vehicles to pass. Because we're trying to upgrade all of our roads, and as was stated earlier, this one hasn't had anything done to it since 2005. Vehicles aren't getting smaller, farm equipment's not getting smaller. That's our
Emergency
concern.
vehicles aren't
Yep.
getting smaller.
And so when you're looking at a road and going in and
Pardon me?
Just our yards getting smaller.
Yeah.
and redoing it, that's our consideration, is that we are looking at safety. And a road that is to 20 foot is a safer road because of the ability to pass oncoming traffic.
Wider roads are safer. People don't get off the edge of the road. They don't get off the shoulder. But anyway,
And then just back to the plans too, like, again, I'm not speaking for Shidler's, I'm speaking for us. Like, we haven't seen anything of the plans since November. I've seen something from Rieger's, and then since then it's changed, especially with the S curve. But, like, I mean, that's what we were expecting on the meeting before this, like, we have not even seen what the plans are now. So, I mean, if the whole road has changed or anything, like, if anything has changed on it, we don't know. We've only seen what Andy Rieger showed me. So, I mean, if that's just normal and how you guys do it, or how he's supposed to do it, not really keep us in the loop, like, that's just not appreciated on our end.
What's the structure of it, Tim?
So Michael, if you showed them the latest ones, I provide you with.
Yes, most of our communication's been through Mike.
Okay, so Michael is the one that, when we was at that meeting, we all kind of decided I'd send him plans, and he was supposed to follow up with you all. So, I mean, but yeah, so Michael had the latest ones, it was probably about then. Everything else remained the same, so yes. But we can get you, we can get you and actually the stakes out there are staked, that we staked back whenever, been a long time ago. They were based off the latest design standard. Yeah, we can get it to you, it's no problem, and like I said, Michael forward to you, we'll forward to you, ain't no big deal.
On those, Tim, you know, we talked about the, electric lines, that culvert, and how the road would be kind of graded up to the property line. At what point do you need those kind of details to make sure that's within the plan?
The whole thing is, we wanna make sure that everybody's good with the alignment. This is where we're going, this is why we're going, and then we can work with each individual property owner, like, hey, you guys special concerns here, you guys special concerns here, them type of things.
Those finishing touches are after.
Yes, because, it's no use going through, doing all the minute details, and then changing, so yes, yes.
Anything else?
I just keep in mind, it's a small town. It's not like a small town. We got concrete growing around.
Tim, anything else?
No.
Gabe, Brian?
I don't.
I guess one more thing, is there any future, like with, talking about, batteries, all that kind of stuff, is this road anticipated to be used for anything more for those kind of projects or anything that's anyone's aware of?
I'm not aware.
The only development that I know out there is a whole facility, it's been IDM'd, you know what I mean? That is the only thing that I'm aware of, any development on that road that's been proposed, which of course it's approved IDM permit, so it could happen, you know what I mean? That's the only thing I'm aware of that's anywhere been permitted or complete, as far as that goes, yes.
And the battery facility that was previously approved back in
Yeah,
'22
it's
isn't around here, yeah. Yep, it's up on the other side of 74 there. Yep. Anything else?
It's not worth it at this point, it seems.
All right. Is there a motion?
I make a motion, we do the construction as designed by our county highway department.
I'll second that motion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, motion carries. All right, next
Next one.
item, Tim.
Yes, so NDOT did have a meeting with NDOT, well, was at a meeting, NDOT was attending. So they made it very, very clear that we need to dot our i's, cross our t's on all of our applications anymore. That any little thing, they're throwing it out, they're pulling funding. So we gotta get very good on that. So Bridge 131, within that bridge, NDOT missed a deadline, made us unqualified to go for reimbursement right away. So the county requested to go back and redo that, got rejected. I'd like to go back again and request them relook at that since it was not our fault. That deadline got met. It was
What's
not a county
Bridge
issue.
131?
Bridge 31 is the one on 200 South out by the county line. We got closed. So because it was not a factor or a consultant factor of Decatur County, it was totally outside of our control, that deadline got missed. I would like permission to go back and ask NDOT again to get reimbursed for the right of way on that project, be eligible for that cost.
Yeah, makes sense.
So the second thing I have for NDOT is the city put in for the unofficial detour got denied on that. So they've took it, their board of works, Mr. Klaus Camper has, he's also took it to the town. Both of them want to reapproach NDOT. I know most entertain a motion of go ahead and do a resolution from the county to the state requesting that as an unofficial detour, so we go for reimbursement. Their reasoning was they're not closing 74 totally, is why we're not eligible for that. But it's a parallel route that, I mean, we've seen the last couple of weeks how much it's got utilized
Oh,
at
yeah,
different
there's-
times.
There is
Yes.
traffic there.
So I think, you know, coming from highway department's one thing, if it come from a resolution to Decatur County Commissioners, might carry a little more weight.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that, I like to entertain that notion.
Yes, absolutely.
Talk with Chad and he
And we'll do
drive
that.
something.
Thank you. So, on the conversation on 74, we've had conversation with the construction contractor on 74 with having access points. So right now they have 3 proposed access points they want to utilize. They've come up with a road usage agreement. Chad and I have looked it over. We're both in agreement with it. Okay, so this will be utilized for construction traffic, but it'll also be utilized by.
Copy of that.
I was gonna say, I haven't seen a copy.
Chad's got it, kind of.
Do you?
So the one question was videotaping. They're going to take care of that.
The LiDAR and
The actual, they're going to videotape it. Yes.
Thank you.
And this anticipation of next year also, when they flip sides, there will be access points off the south side to our roads on the south side, which will be different ones when they flip sides of the interstate. So Ed, you anticipate probably 3 locations again next year when we flip sides of the interstate, when you do that?
At the most.
Okay.
Chad, you looked over this, looks good.
questions on the road use?
I do not. No, I don't.
And I will add, because it's in dock controls, they're controlled through the interstate, they have to work with the contractor of how they're gonna control that through gates, however they're gonna control that access, that interstate.
I guess there was one question I did have.
Yes,
is
so
how do
they gotta
you
work that out
control
then,
other traffic from getting, versus emergency vehicle and your vehicles.
The access point will be located on the side of the interstate that we'll be working on, where no traffic on.
Okay.
And as far as keeping the traveling public from driving into the west side, we can either put gates up, barrels, different things to ensure
Okay.
barricades.
I would make a motion to approve the temporary right of entry access agreement.
I'll second that motion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And those opposed, motion carries.
So battery energy project we talked about, mentioned on County Road 400 North. The development is very good to work with. Since it's been turned over to construction, they have not been real responsive. Matter of fact, there's been a few little issues involving them. So as of Friday, they are putting different personnel on it. Their responsiveness, fixing roads, doing that, et cetera. Hopefully they get better. We're gonna find out. So, if not, we'll be back here to discuss what the next steps will have to be from a commissioner standpoint if they don't get more responsive. So the signage portion of it did not meet manual uniform traffic control devices. We've been in contact. They are now hiring our traffic engineer to go in and figure out the signage and get it up to where it's supposed to be. So, like I said, hopefully with the new change of personnel, that things will start moving along a little better and be a little cleaner going. So, credit card limit, I'd like to raise that. Talk to Christie. I'd like to raise that to 5,000,
What is it currently?
2,500. I mean, we had an issue the other day, went to buy a pallet of such. So, I mean, we can raise it just temporarily, but we'd rather do it permanently, so we're not calling Christie going, hey, raise it. Okay, raise it back again. So, and we do use,
Are there more places that we can get terms set up with and as
We
well? Like,
can,
just thinking of when you said seed,
yes.
do they do net 30? I'm just thinking of a way to try to avoid the fees.
It isn't just that. The other thing comes into is we can have a account set up at X, okay? But everybody knows how online is anymore. You can find it a lot cheaper at Y. Well, then we either have to set an account up at Y for this one-time or two-time purchases, or just put it on the credit card and purchase it that way. You know what I mean? So some of it is that.
I was thinking more like frequent flyers.
Yeah, the frequent flyers, we'd like to stay with it. The problem is when you get a charge account hiccup at a merchant here in town that we can't charge till it gets worked out, then when you're down, we can't charge to them, or we charge by credit card. And that's where this
That's what I'm
situation.
saying. I'm not opposed to the $5,000 increase. I'm just saying that if there's more places that we can have terms set up with to try
Right.
to
Oh.
save costs when we can. And
Yes.
maybe you already have all that.
We have all that in place. Like this one right here was a hiccup with the accounting, IT. They couldn't charge to us. We just went and put on a credit card to get it that away. It was above the amount.
How often is the highway department's credit card being used?
Oh, every month.
Because I know most of our stuff comes through.
Most of it does, but like I said, there's a special vendor type situation. We buy something here, one-time situation, it's a lot cheaper, and Amazon.
I think, these guys are responsible. They know what they're doing. I would, make a motion to approve their spending limit to 5,000 on their credit card. I understand what you're saying, Gabe, on all those points. Makes sense.
I'll second.
All those in favor say aye.
Moving right along with them, we had some good spot, good weather, so did a lot of patching stuff. We are back on Bridge 167 in Westport. So winter hit last year, we closed it, we just temporarily opened it up. This year we went back in now that the weather warmed up, doing our approach slabs, getting it all finished. Stuff. So we're moving right along that bushwhacking. So that bridge is right now slated to be paved April 27th, week of April 27th. So we'll have that done. As far as our LiDAR grant we talked about applying for again this year, Doug and I had met with Woolpert in the city, and the city's wanting to do the same type of thing. So there's a very good possibility we'll look at partnering for that grant for them to get their ADA ramps and different things also. So just to let you know, there might be a partnership coming down the line with that grant situation. Touch truck, North Care, South Care went really well. So we did have an RMC training live wire demonstration at the highway department. We hosted it. We ended up having 5 other highway departments participate. So it's Bartholomew County, Franklin, Jefferson, Jennings, and Shelby County all sent personnel here to participate in that. RMC picked it up. It's very good training. It's the same training they actually put on for the public safety personnel. They come in and put it on for the highway department.
Saw the pictures, looked like there was quite a few in attendance.
I think it's about 75 in attendance
Awesome.
there.
Good.
So yeah, had a good turnout, and then of course it had good rapport with the other surrounding counties.
Good.
It was a good deal. So the mutual aid agreements with the towns, Chad's had them, looked over the agreement, we're all good with it. So when we do the hazard mitigation go around, we'll be taking that to them, approaching them about that as also.
Very good.
So anything else from me, gentlemen?
Thank you for all the information. Thank you for the report.
Thanks, Tim.
All right, moving on to Abby Harry with Community Corrections.
Morning.
Morning.
Abby?
I am here today to run over our grant proposals that we send to the Department of Corrections and the Indiana Office of Court Services for the different programs that we run. Currently, the 3 grants that we apply for through them, they fund all of our salaries. Or not all of our salaries, but they are only salary. They're only applied for salaries. So the first one is the probation officer grant, which is currently funded through the Indiana Department of Corrections. That is our specialty probation officer, if you will, that does your high-risk felony probationers. So we've requested his salary. It's $58,473. We've requested from IDOC on that one. The community funds all the community corrections officers' salaries, which are also probation officers. We've been told to expect a 20 to 25% cut this year. So our statewide organization that we call IACAC has requested that every county request the funds they use for the entire year. Okay, so we don't normally request this much funds, but we are requesting $502,816. And so what that is our yearly budget. Drug screens, electronic monitoring, any treatment, software, anything like that. They are trying to do that to show the Department of Corrections the need that is only increasing. Department of Corrections is asking for us to provide more services, more intensive monitoring while they're cutting funding. So that is the purpose of doing that. But just so you guys are aware, that is not only salaries in that one grant. And then the last grant is through the Indiana Office of Court Services. It is our wellness court grant, which is also called drug court, problem solving court. It's run out of Superior Court with Judge Bailey, and that is for a probation officer's salary and benefits per all that fun stuff. It's $127,865 that we're requesting from those. We expect to see cuts from IOX and the probation officer grant a little bit, not as extreme as the community corrections grant, but we do expect to see some cuts. It's just kind of the way everything's trending. Unfortunately, DOC cut, last year they cut the grant a little bit, and they cut all the extra grants, prosecutor diversion grant, problem solving court grants, pretrial grants. So community corrections is expected to take the brunt of those cuts this year.
So budget-wise, for you guys, how does that factor in? I know
Yep.
be able to continue those services.
Yes, so we have been planning for this for a while because we expected these cuts also last year. So we've been planning kind of decreasing things like that. A couple of years ago, we didn't replace a case manager. So we've been planning for them. We've been applying for more local grants to help cover drug testing fees, things like that. We found a cheaper, more secure ankle monitoring system, which
Yeah.
we've been on for over a year now, which is fantastic.
Good, yeah.
Yep. So we're just making little cuts here or there, training, certain things. We're not, we're just making little cuts here and there that are making the difference. But the county picking up our insurance was a huge benefit, and that's what's allowed us to really be able to continue.
This is the problem that DOC is causing counties, is that they are trying to get people out of prison through different programs and other mechanisms as quickly as possible, and it's pushing the burden onto counties. So our staffing,
Unfunded mandates.
our staffing requirements are going up.
Yep.
Our monitoring costs are going up, and DOC is. There already. He's ready to go.
Good morning.
Morning, Mike.
So here today to see if you would adopt our resolution for the multi-hazard mitigation. Plans that we've been working on with Christopher Burke, since last year. And we have met all the necessary requirements set forth by FEMA and have moved through that process. It has been out for public review. I have not seen any public comments as of yet, so last time was Friday. I've received some cars, and our next step now is for the county to adopt that, and it goes to the FEMA and IDHS. And once they approve it, then I will start at the same time moving to other appropriate towns and cities.
Okay.
Once that is completed, then we will have that plan finalized and completely done, and the 5-year clock then resets, and don't have to miss again for 5 years. So,
I like that.
process.
Any questions?
I do not. Good job, Mike, working on this.
This is good,
Yeah,
especially once we get it to all of the other towns.
Right.
That'll be great.
right.
Part of that too, one of the requirements is out of the Disaster Mitigation Act of 2000, continues to have Decatur County eligible for any mitigation grants and
Right.
mitigation funding.
Good job.
Christy, do you have a resolution number?
2026-9.
I'll make a motion that we approve the hazard mitigation plan as presented.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. And those opposed, motion carries.
Also, just as an additional note, I know that we've been working on MOUs
Yeah.
with other appropriate towns.
Right.
As I start to go through those other towns to work on get this adopted with them as well, I'll be able to, if that's all approved and everything is okay with that, then we'll be looking at
Very good. Fantastic. Good work, Mike. I don't think so. Thank you.
Thanks.
Oh, and thank you for the work for the fairground safety plan too. Thank you on that. All right, up next we have Lisa and Rob from Centerstone.
Good morning.
I am the new CEO for the Indiana market for Centerstone. I've been in the role for a month, so I'm not actually the best person to speak on the specifics for Decatur County, so I've asked Rob to join me today. He's the chief operating officer for the organization. I did give Jeremy my cell phone number for you to share that with the other commissioners. If you all have any questions or concerns, please feel free to reach out to me directly. I'm going to turn it over to Rob.
Thank you.
Good morning.
Rob Lockmeyer, Chief Operating Officer. So, allocation for Decatur County, I think as we continue to work through and get the county funds and all of that resolved, just really appreciate that. I think the main thing that I want to also express is that we also want to make sure that you know that we've had good intentions to continue to carry out our mission in the county. And I have some, and we actually believe
So I talked with Bridget. Unfortunately, she said that the way her life is at this point, she has to decline reappointment. And so we're gonna have to find someone else. So if there is anyone out there that has interest in serving as Decatur County's representative on Centerstone's board, that would be greatly appreciated. We definitely want somebody that is passionate about this area. I know in our conversation that we had a couple weeks ago that you have all different representatives from different walks of life on your board, but we want to make sure that they have a passion for this. So yeah, we greatly appreciate Bridget's work and willingness to volunteer over the years, but she just indicated that sometimes life changes and gets a little busy. So I think that's where we're at. So we have an open appointment. If anybody's interested, let us know, and we'll be able to reach out.
Also, the Greensburg Police Department reached out.
Yeah, I was just
And
reaching.
they wanted to share that over the past few years that things have really increased. Courtney, as a local person, they're very, very impressed and have had very good luck and wanted to share that they really appreciate what you do.
Almost to the point
Yeah,
that
it
he was watching
popped
our
right in.
meeting
I
or
think
something.
that's what I'm wondering. I know that the county council has asked pointed questions about services and reports. I know that, we've delayed payment for a while, and some of that delayed payment has been because of their questions of what are you actually doing for Decatur County? And what are your services? Where are you providing those services and those reports? And have you heard those questions, concerns?
They were mentioned to me during the call.
Okay.
I had voiced those, and so when I'm looking down here on the bottom of this handout on the right side, that 34,217 services, I know I had put an emphasis on it being just Decatur County. So those are just Decatur County services.
And that's for what?
Fiscal year 25.
25, okay, all right.
And is that like one individual receiving multiple referrals, treatment types, that kind of thing?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you have any idea how many actual individuals had participated in services that Centerstone provides? That's okay. Yep.
I can tell you currently we have almost over 400 active clients currently.
400 active
Okay.
clients in Decatur County?
That's enrollment.
At
Okay.
this moment.
Yeah.
How often do you see, or what's the fluctuation rate for folks being processed in and processed out?
Services are at just over 1,600.
Mhm.
So that would give you about 400, that would give you kind of an idea
Okay.
of
Okay. Gotcha. Very good. That's good info.
Well, we have a discussion, I've had discussion with the council and sometimes they feel like they're not getting accurate information or reports that they would like to see for the funding. So this helps us
Yep.
as we move forward,
specific data that you all would really like to see that we can try to.
So this
I don't know if,
this is more of what we were looking for.
Okay. Okay,
Jumping back to before you guys were here, the numbers that we were getting was just like what Centerstone was doing as a whole. In the state, I think is what
Not
it was,
in
right?
Decatur County.
Right, Chad? And,
It was that and some numbers we felt missing. I
Yeah.
would say that has greatly improved. We've gotten some back reports and the last reporting cycle complied with the statute across the board. So I think that was exactly where we had been pushing for and we got.
yeah, and so like these numbers with that was always the bigger question that I remember from the council is, what are you doing in Decatur County?
okay.
And so that's why these numbers are more important, to know exactly how many people, how many services are being provided.
Okay, good.
That's,
If there's a cadence other than annual that you all would like to receive that data, even if it's just a quick, which we can certainly provide that, just on the cadence that fits what works for your schedule.
And having you as our contact person helps us tremendously, because I don't feel like that, and again, I'm going by hearsay and listening to what the council and previous, that they didn't feel like they were getting the information that they were asking for. So,
That's a fair criticism.
and I appreciate what you're doing and listening to what McNeely just gave us information on how he feels like services have improved, reporting has improved, so I definitely appreciate that.
And seeing what the actual
Numbers are here,
services
yeah.
too that are, or different activities that are being done. It's good. Any other questions?
I do not.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We appreciate it. All right.
You did skip Doug.
Sorry, Doug. I scratched you off early, I guess. All right. Doug Westerfeld, APC. We'll jump back up. Sorry, Leanne.
That's okay. From noon to 1, then we're gonna have a session from 5 to 6. I should get the press release information from HWC today, and then I'll forward that information on to all the media outlets, social media outlets, so that we can get that information out to the public. Because the more that attends, the better our comprehensive plan will be, and more than we want as many of the public to be there as we can get there during those two sessions. Moving forward, there'll be more meetings starting in June, but this big ideas open house is a critical part of the comprehensive plan, so if the public to attend, that would be fantastic. So that's all that I have.
Yeah, there have been discussions in the steering committee meetings about different wording and preferences and things like that that's going to be displayed for folks. And so we want people to be able to come and comment on those so that we can take that feedback to the steering committee and report on it, see if there need to be some tweaks that's done to the comp plan as we're working through it. We don't have an active draft yet, so this is part of the input process for getting to that final product.
I was at both those meetings, the noon meeting and the evening meeting, the last time we had the public. And the noon meeting was pretty good. The evening meeting, I think we had 2 people. I don't know what's the best way to go about getting the word out or getting, because you said it's important to get the public out to this. I don't know. I don't know how to get more people involved or get them to understand it's important to have their voices heard in this.
I think we could do a good job of getting the information out, it's just getting the buy-in.
Is it just the apathy of just,
I mean, we had help from,
food?
I
Yeah.
mean, we had help from the paper, from the
Yeah.
radio. It's on our
I think we
Facebook,
advertised it.
so-
It was
Yep.
just, I don't know what it is, but it seems like there is apathy about that.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's the right word to use, but
Yeah, and the establishment of the comprehensive plan, and that will eventually lead to the establishment of redefining some of our ordinances that we
Yeah.
presently have.
Yeah.
So it's a critical piece, so, yeah, if we can get the word out, and we'll use every media outlet that we can to get that out. Yeah, I'm all in. We'll discuss how they should, see if that's in the budget.
All right. Thank you, Doug.
thanks, Doug.
All right, Joe Kane with the Board of Works requesting an amendment to our biosolids ordinance.
Morning, Joe.
I agree if there's a fish fry out.
You'd show up, wouldn't you?
Oh, yeah. We're just asking to amend the PFAS testing ordinance. We apply biosolids twice a year. It just is, it's a cost, pretty costly to the city. We've already spent $3,000 just on the testing, to send you guys. Our results have been, well under the limits that we set. And they're been pretty standard with them each time. So we were just trying to see if we could get that cut to once a year.
Is he accepting RVs, campers to come in and dump waste again? Okay.
And we only accept county, septic tanks, from
Okay. When was it? I know it was here in the last couple of years that had stopped.
2 years ago, I believe.
Okay.
This will be the 4th, the septic callers come in, we require an address where they got from, so it's all in county.
my issue when I look at it is, I mean, if we provide an exception here, where do the exceptions stop? For pretty much anybody that would be potentially applying. And then that completely takes the teeth out of our ordinance if we start providing exceptions here and there. My inclination would be no. We put it in so that you have to test. We don't dictate that it's X number of times a year. It's only when you apply. And so my gut reaction to this, sitting here when we had passed this, is to deny, but obviously you guys have a say.
I'm not opposed to it. What I worry about is if it's approved because we can guarantee it's not out of county, but then if something changes, how do we stay up on knowing that?
I mean, we have a biosalt report through IDEM with our testing, and it is, it's pretty strict what we can and can't put into the fields. And we meet all of our requirements, and we're well below all the standards that are set. This, like I said, we're not trying to pull anything over. If you've seen the data,
Yeah.
I think your target is 50, and we're
It
at
is.
4.
Yeah.
So we're 8 times, under.
Yeah.
It's just, like I said, just a cost saving.
I would say, and I wasn't here when we passed that PFAS ordinance, but we know the importance of eliminating in our system, and I don't know if you can eliminate it, but at least keeping it as low as possible. And I'm in the thought of when you apply, you have to test. I just want to make sure there's not a one-off, there's not a, we're going to miss something, and you apply one year and there was something in there that you didn't know about, we didn't know about, and I think it's smart for us to test every time, and I think it's also helps us with the precedent of not missing that on giving somebody else. Well, you gave it to Greensburg, why can't we have that that one time where you don't have to test? So Joe, I get what you're saying. I do understand what you're saying, but I feel like we would be remiss as responsible for county representatives that if we didn't test every time you apply. I think it's just smart business for us.
I think when you look at the industry or the businesses that we have here, if they change something, it could immediately affect what's flowing downstream to you and then is put out. So that's really the part of the reason for me that,
That's what I worry about. We can't control the change.
Yeah.
And we wouldn't know. We wouldn't have notification of that or anything if something did change.
I appreciate you coming though. And thank you for sending the reports.
Okay, yep.
It's fantastic.
Thank you.
Yes,
Sure.
sir.
Oh, this is our biosolid coordinator, Randy Duckworth.
Hi, Randy.
PFAS is an unregulated
Mm-hmm.
issued by the EPA. The list is updated every 2 years. The contaminants come and go from that list. I was involved with Columbus before we got it. So I've seen this list changes. If PFAS and PFAS, that is removed from the next list, will you eliminate the limit for Decatur County, or will you continue to have them test for that, even though it's a drinking water issue? And I understand you're about leaching through the soil and all that, but I'm curious, because I've seen several chemicals come and go from this list. And I've watched Columbus based on the chemicals coming and going. I was just curious, if the next list that comes out, if Joe sends that to you, and this PFAS is not on that list, will you eliminate?
We would definitely consider, potentially discuss any amendment made by the EPA.
It's likely at some point, you may not see this. This list is based on contaminants that they're aware of, but they just do not know what the danger is and how to set limits. They just don't have enough information to do that. The last one I seen of concern was contaminant called chlorine dioxide. And it's come and gone a couple of times from that EPA list. There's been lots of money spent trying to figure out what to do with that.
And I'll agree with you, Randy, is there's a lot of chemicals out there we don't even know
Oh, you
about.
have no idea.
But this one's a known, and this one, you know, the PFAS, and so we've got to make sure, you know, and if it's gone, then it's gone out of that list.
Yeah.
But currently, it's,
It's on the list.
yeah, so I'll agree with Jeremy. As that, if it would be eliminated from the list, then we could look at going back and looking at this ordinance.
I was curious.
Yeah,
I'd want to see some of the commentary for the recension of PFAS
Yes.
off of that designation by the EPA.
It can be.
sorry. Basically, our 911 dispatch. And we've been working, I just want to look back at this, Leanne, with Barry Ritter. It's been almost over a year now that we've been working on this. But Barry Ritter's a consultant, and he's been working with Leanne to try to get this interlocal agreement approved. And we went over several iterations of this and finally came down to an agreement we all kind of will agree upon, the parties. And this has been given to the city's attorney, it's been given to Chad. We've looked over this. There's just a few changes. It's similar to what it was prior, other than it gives out fiscal responsibilities for the county and for the city with the statewide 911 funds and making sure that those funds are dispersed. And then it's a basic 50-50 split with the city and the county. It does talk about that I've given this to you guys, you've had a chance to look over it. It does change where we have an executive committee and an advisory board. And prior to that, we just had an advisory board. We didn't have an executive committee. So the executive committee consists of the mayor. It consists of one city council member, which is Rodney King, one county council member, which is Ashley Hungate, and then one commissioner's representative, which is myself. And we don't meet, we meet periodically when there's fiscal concerns or if there's an issue with employment with an employee. So other than that, the advisory board does most of the managing of this PSAP. I think I've covered most of what, and it's a one-year agreement currently because the mayor and I have talked about, along with Dr. King and Ashley, responsibilities and how does that play out in the next couple of years with the Senate Enrollment Act 1. And so we decided to do a one-year agreement and then see where that, after 1 year, where are we at with, because some of those statewide funds and some of that is subject to change, right? Leanne, we talked about that.
Statewide funds could change, but not necessarily.
Also, the local income tax, you know, where does that fall into it?
I think is mainly what the mayor was kind of looking
We were
at,
concerned about that, so, which,
about changing that, enacting it a little bit
Right.
differently. So I think, you know, definitely renewing it and looking at it year to year to see where monies are coming into play at is a good idea. And you can always just renew the same thing too.
right,
The problem is that interlocal agreements stayed that way for so many years. And
this isn't new. We've had one for
And
it.
it's just stayed there, and nobody's put eyes on it. And it, we've had all these groups and meetings and people involved that it just needed to be condensed. The physical part of it really just needs to be, that group needs to be met with when the budget happens. And when things happen, it doesn't need to always be meeting. And our powers to be, as far as when we have our 911 meeting decisions, that needs to be our, you know, our responders that, you know, make those decisions. And now instead of doing quarterly, we've decided we're gonna meet every other month because sometimes we need to meet more frequently than just quarterly. So, that new board can't take effect until the interlocal agreement has, been established. So that's the importance of wanting to get this pushed through so we can start having this new board meeting.
And I'm going to present this also tomorrow at the county council because they also need as the fiscal body of the county, to sign off on it as well.
Good deal.
So I would entertain a motion to agree the interlocal agreement.
I'll make that motion. I'll second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries.
Then our next 911 meeting is scheduled for May 7th, which at that time, as long as the council's in agreement, then we can vote on it and
Thank you.
Thank you, Leanne.
Yep.
Appreciate it. Also, just while I'm up here, this past week has been, Dispatch Appreciation Week.
Yes,
So
it
we have
is.
had a
Awesome.
wild week. Lots of, community that has stepped up and just sprinkled a lot of kindness, to our dispatchers, because it's been all first responders, so, just wanted to say thank you to everybody.
Very good. Thank you, Leanne.
Thank you.
All right, moving on to courthouse tree maintenance.
Well, we got an estimate from Tree Centric, and if you'll remember last year, they came down, Jerome from Tree Centric came down and fertilized the tree, watered the tree through the watering system that is internal. Because we know that after the courthouse was renovated, the steeple was sealed up. It's not getting the water that it used to get through all the cracks and crevices. So they put a watering system in internally, and he came down and did that last year. And now he's given us an estimate to, and you guys have seen the estimate there to.
Looks like pruning, the water.
He says that it's not getting the water volume. So he needs to put a pump in there to pump the water from, because the water actually comes from the second floor restroom, women's restroom, to get, I don't know if that's another 50 or 60 feet up to get to the tower. So he thinks an inline pump needs to boost water pressure.
And then fertilize the tree as well.
Correct.
So
The pruning of the tree, he is going to charge $900, but we have to get a crane service or a service to get him up there to prune the tree. I don't know what that's going to cost. I don't know what we paid previously. Do you know, Patty?
They've got the contact in there.
He does have the contact for the crane, but I don't
It's not cheap.
know what it's going to cost. This total estimate, as you see in front of you, is $3,160. That's pruning, that's fertilizing, that's watering, that's putting the inline pump and doing an overall check of the tree, the health of the tree. So
Dan, you've mentioned having really good hookups on helicopters.
We'll sling load him up. Jangle there while he's cutting.
Yeah, that's,
so here we are.
yeah, I mean, I think it's something that we got to do. Can't be the tree city without a tree in our courthouse.
What do you think, Bill?
Yeah, and so we can figure out how we're going to get them up there.
Right.
So, yeah.
confident we'll figure that out.
Yes, we've done it before,
I
so.
would make a motion to move forward with the yearly maintenance of the tree and the installation of the water pump.
This current one,
Yep.
right, okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'll second that motion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, and those opposed, motion carries.
Get a whole drill. See if we can check it. Yeah, okay.
Okay, up next on the agenda is the Fairgrounds project. So I wanted to present you guys with some information, and then we can have some discussion about where we're going with the project. So just quick recap kind of where we're at on the project. The Fairgrounds project is a $4 million renovation at the fairgrounds, where 1.95, so $1,950,000 came from the state. The county was going to initially be responsible for 1.2 million. The remainder was going to come from private monetary donations and in-kind donations from the community. If you all recall, last year, probably about this time, the state had paused ready funding, and the project had pretty much already kicked off. So I had gone to the council, gotten permission to proceed forward using funds out of edit. We kept that project going for the community building, and then ready funds came available in September or October of 25. So the project was able to move forward, but at that point we had already funded a little over $2 million out of county funds to keep the project going. And so now we have tiled the track and the horse arena. We have completed the renovation project, and the farm and home bathrooms completely renovated and also added HVAC there. The new community building has been completed, and we are now moving on towards improving the electrical at the fairgrounds.
Grandstand bathrooms too.
I'm sorry?
Grandstand
Yeah.
bathrooms.
Out there. And so where we're at right now with the project is we are at $3,671 and what has been spent on the project so far. That leaves us 328,000. I'll call it 329,000. I'll just round up for a little bit. 329,000 left on the BOT. This is where things get a little funny because the county had paid above what we were supposed to at the very beginning of the project. The amount that's left on ready is different than the amount that's left on the BOT. So it's $519,636.89 left of ready funding from the state. So we have, over a quarter of the funds coming from the state that are available to continue on with the project. The electrical side of the project that's left right now is $470,000. We're also looking at doing improvements to the horse barn for fixing purlings, posts, the roof, and putting gutters that drain out to the creek to get more water away from the horse arena. Then there's also the possibility of landscaping boulders around the new community building. And so all told, with additions that also had to be made to the community building, the high water mark for that is, what was it, 100 and...
870.
Let me look at
That's what I have.
yeah, $870,000. So when you look at the 519 that's left and ready, and then we have 870 that is left on this project as a whole, we have a majority of the funds that are available through ready. Now, when you go back and you look at the funds that have been generated through the fundraising campaign, I'm not going to give an exact number just because we have over $250,000 in pledges that have been made to this project. So obviously those are contingent on those payments being made throughout the year, and you never know with the economy and businesses and individuals if there's a change in somebody's economic abilities. But we've attained approximately $600,000 in monetary donations that currently sits with the Community Foundation. We have had in-kind contribution, $1,714, which is amazing. It's unreal. The in-kind work that has been provided in this project. So currently, the total cash available in the Community Foundation is $617,630.62. So when you combine the over $600,000 at the Community Foundation with the amount of funds that are available from Ready, we have over $1.1 million that's available to this project. And so we have the funds to cover the list of the projects that are left on the community project. This would take the total project up to roughly 4.3 million, I think is the number, which is above what the original 4 was. And then we can return the additional funds to the county that are available as those funds continue to come in through donations and pledges. So when you guys are looking at this list here, the electrical, midway paving, horse barn improvements, landscaping, any discussion on those?
The only thing that I had talked about was, we talked about landscaping. We had this little bit of discussion when we had talked with the construction, okay, that's a landscaping, $18,000.
Yes.
I'm out of the loop on landscaping. I have no idea what landscaping costs. But after he's talking about almost 300 linear feet of landscaping, I'm like, okay, well, maybe that's not so bad. I don't know. But boulders, we talked about gay boulders versus, fencing, you know, and I said, well, maybe fencing's cheaper, and he's like, well, if you do vinyl fencing, you might be more than that, for 300 lineal, well, it wasn't 300, it was about 275 lineal feet. Excuse me. So, I don't know, just when I saw, that's a rock, you know, how can $18,000 for rocks? But it is,
And I think that's ripping because it's all just seeded too,
Yeah.
you know, but and we gotta tear that base out, you know, add, you know, some type of material, put decorative rock down, but also the larger rocks, if that's the route that we decide to go.
that was the only thing I looked at, you know, when I was looking through those prices, and that's, you know, out of 870,000, it's 18's a minimal amount of that, and we're gonna have some type of landscaping or some type of, the whole idea was a berm.
What, if anything, we do there around the community building, in between the road and the parking lot, I'm looking at it from a maintenance standpoint as well.
Yeah,
Because then say you put rock down, we're increasing, you're gonna have to walk around with a sprayer. Because eventually your liner is going to get cut or whatever, and you're gonna have dandelions growing all over. Or if we put down just big boulders, you're weed eating around them if you don't have something else below them. It's more difficult than just running a mower. For me, at this price, I would avoid the landscaping. I would leave it the way it is now.
look at it later.
I get driving through it is a concern. There's other areas on that fairgrounds that, I mean, going all the way down 200, we don't have a fence or a berm or something that keeps people from just pulling out. My inclination right now is we forget about the landscaping. We can address something later. I know if you look down through the sheet that was emailed to us, one of the in-kind donations was planters. We could even place some planters there. Now, the issue for me with planters is somebody
Same
has to
thing.
weed them.
It's the
And I
same
know how
thing.
I feel about weeding the flower pots around my house. So, yeah, I mean, same thing. But we do have something that if you wanted a fix that's immediately available that would cost us nothing, we do have the planters that could be placed there. For me, the landscaping is more of a luxury than,
I see the rocks as a little bit of a hard stop too, you know, there's people in that office, you know, yes, of course, speed shouldn't be an issue, but crazy things happen.
that's true.
So I see that's my concern, that's why I like the big boulder idea, was it's gonna stop a vehicle from, you know, going into the building, potentially.
Yeah.
We talked about some posts around the electrical panels.
And they are doing that.
And things like that, and it's, you know, to try to protect things, but, you know, the grain bin sits really close, you
Yeah.
know, to the intersection too, so that's the reason I like the rocks.
And they are putting the bollards around the water tank and also the electrical that's there on the north side.
The advantage is we have it in the budget, it's there.
Yep.
If we eliminate it, will we ever do it? You know,
Sure.
is it somewhere down the line that we're like, well, we can't find the money for this?
Yeah, I like
You
to at
know,
least keep
right now,
doing
it's
it.
here, it's in it.
Yep.
It's, maybe it's the time to do it now and get it done, knock it out.
We can keep it in, and obviously I have to go to council tomorrow to discuss
Right.
the same topic,
Right.
Since we'll be above the original
The
$4
amount.
million amount.
Right.
But my inclination is still that we don't do it. We can leave it in the budget, but I would still lean towards not doing the landscaping right now. And then let's discuss the midway paving. It has $200,000 here for midway paving. I know I had seen some bids without talking specific numbers. Is that something that you guys want to bid out ourselves as commissioners, or do you want to leave that in the BOT? The advantage, I think, to leaving it out, taking it out, and doing the bid ourselves is, I think that it could be cheaper than what we're seeing here. What do you guys think?
Well, I expressed that I felt like we should leave it in there only because it has, dollars I don't know. Is that worth it? For us to try to manage that paving and make sure it's done correctly versus, having,
Who's managing that from the BOT side?
it would be,
That'd be Scott.
yeah.
But I mean, is that in their wheelhouse? I mean, as far as paving and.
I mean, they're
professionals in that?
subcontracting.
They're
it out.
subcontracting it out.
Um,
So they would make sure that it followed all the guidelines and all the, that's the way I understand it. And if it, I don't know where it falls in the size wise, and how does that water, or
It's-
manage the water
It's
mitigation?
going to trigger the water drainage ordinance.
Okay, so I know that, Barnes said he would take,
I
if
imagine we
somebody
have
else.
a highway department that can also run tile to adequately
You know,
address.
for mitigation. I don't know.
We have tile on the hill, on the side of the hill there. And I don't know if I've talked about what exactly the midway paving is here at a commissioners meeting, have
Oh,
I?
not in a meeting.
Okay, so, what it is, we were approached, by Lures with a request to pave the midway. And they provided us with a diagram of,
Just a path.
yeah, of what it is. It's basically a big loop, and then down by the, OA building, there is a larger paved lot. And this would, what's up in the grass areas with people walking on the paved surfaces, so that when you get that guaranteed fair week rain in the middle of the afternoon, you aren't dealing with a muddy midway the whole rest of the week. It will be more ADA accessible than what we have now for wheelchairs and strollers, because you're actually going to be on asphalt. Additionally, having this paved area will increase the available parking at the fairgrounds, which is something that with the new community building, we have had to address or look at how we're going to be able to bring in this number of people to the fair. So by having more hard surface, we would be able to provide more parking to the community building. So we're looking at it from a couple different avenues. I think it'd be a major benefit to Power of the Past. It'd be a big benefit to a number of other events that use up the entire fairgrounds out there, that are all up along paved surfaces. So that's backstory on that project.
Paving.
On the paving part of it, yeah.
I don't have a preference. I see the benefit of both. See the benefit of Barnes management. I see managing it. I see the benefit of us sending it out to bid.
Yeah.
I'm impartial on it.
Do you have any idea how wide that path will be?
20 foot, it looks like 20 foot is like the majority of the walkway space there, Bill. There are areas that are wider for, different areas, so like where the food vendors are down towards the OA building, that's a wider space, it looks like, right through there. And it looks like when you're on the south side of that building, it also gets a little bit wider. So, yeah, but roughly 20 foot for a majority of
The
the,
loop around, like
Yeah.
where the midway, that's about 20 feet.
Yeah.
I think the width of that.
I mean, we definitely got a better price than initially from, Barnes on what this was gonna be. That's been part of the discussion, and it ended up being that the, like, conduits or boxes were not going to be included, because then you're going to have higher costs and additional draining, like if you're putting a box in, or you're running a conduit where it's gonna be depressed in the ground, you're gonna have more standing water issues. And so the recommendation from the fair committee and then on through discussions, was that they can run their electrical lines over and still use the mats that they had been using. But that way we aren't having to deal with more drainage issues, more structural issues.
Trench, like
Yeah.
a trench box or cut through there.
That's what I was asking, we're at our trench anyway.
Yeah. Yeah. No, we had talked about it, and I think one of the fair committee members had actually contacted Lures if they were good with that as well. And yeah.
It's 1 week out of the year.
Yeah. And it's one of those things that I think it'll be very usable for us for other events as well, and we don't necessarily that type of box or conduit underneath the asphalt. Yeah. Okay. So it would have to be a requirement that they work with the highway department and stay in compliance with any water drainage ordinance.
If you feel like we're gonna do a substantial savings, I would be okay with taking it out of the BOT. If that's the way you're leaning.
I mean, I don't know how high at the end of the day, when you look at bonds and those kinds of things, I don't know how high it's really going to be as far as a substantial savings.
That's
I
only
mean,
my concern.
I think the landscaping is probably a higher savings than what pulling this out of the BOT would be. I think if we cut landscaping, we more than save for whatever type of markup there may be in the BOT here for paving. So, I mean, it would definitely be a benefit as far as a management, as far as a bonding and insurance side, that it stay in the BOT.
That's
so
my
that we
only
don't have an
reasoning.
increased cost.
Right.
I'm good with that. Staying in.
You want to stay in? Okay. All right.
Make a motion to approve this?
I'm
or
looking
do
to see
we-
if there's anything else on here that I wanted to discuss.
This is the amendment from
Yeah.
the
They,
BOT Marts, right? That we need to
yeah,
agree
they,
upon
well, I won't
there
sign the
yet?
amendment yet,
until tomorrow.
because I need to get word back from the council
Okay.
on what it is. But on, I think it was 417, either Sandy or Scott at Barnes Construction had sent us the latest amendment on that fee schedule. And just so everybody's clear on it, all of these numbers are max numbers. There's several areas that we believe are actually going to come in under, but they are max numbers.
There's a $50,000 contingency as well that could be
That can also be eliminated.
eliminated as well, right?
Right. So, once I go to council tomorrow, we'll know more about where we're going.
Okay.
But our recommendations are going to be that we move forward with authorizing this fee schedule, and we can decide whether or not we're going to do individual projects later. Is that correct? That's going to be our recommendation to the
That's,
council.
yes, that's what I would assume, yes.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It's possible. I think part of it is just the size of some of the equipment and long-term productivity of it. But yeah, that was one of the discussions that had been brought up. Anything else? We'll,
Wait to hear about,
We'll wait to hear
word from the
back tomorrow.
council, right?
yep.
Okay.
All right, park board appointment. Second swing at it. We'd become aware after the last meeting that our appointee had moved out of the county very, very recently. And I think we all would prefer to have a board appointment that lives in Decatur County. So here we are for round two. So we had a total of 3 individuals that were interested in being the county's representative on the park board
That's correct.
first time. So we have 2 remaining.
So this is something too, we can open it back up, right?
Yep.
Would you rather do that, Gabe?
Well, just to make sure that those folks are still interested.
Yep.
Okay.
And that's
Works
what-
for me.
That would be my preference.
Okay.
All right.
So
Yeah.
we'll do it at the next
I'm
meeting.
good with that, yeah.
That works.
Open it back up for
Anybody's
anybody that's interested
Or
in
if the
the,
folks that have put in previously are still interested, please let us know that.
I like that.
That works. All right, anything else from you guys?
No, I don't have anything.
Pool project still chugging along. We recently hit, I don't have the exact numbers in my book, but 4.2 a little over 4.2 million funds raised out of the 4.5. So we're about 274,000 last time I checked, short of being completely, having all the funds raised throughout the community. So we did send 120 letters out to all businesses that had not donated anything to immediately. We received a $5,000 check, a $1,000 check a day or two later, and so things are still chugging along. Still pretty hopeful that we can raise the entirety of those funds. Progress, construction's fully underway. Still looking at the June time frame.
Still looking at June 1st. All right. I will say that I did have an engineer look at the Armory, the Parks Department building. We had some concerns about the stability of the building with some foundation issues. And had Nathan Walmsley come and look at that, a building structural engineer. And his overall assessment of the building is it is safe. It is not, there are some issues or joists and some minor things that need to be some repairs around the outside of the foundation. But overall, the stability of the building is structurally sound. It is safe. That was my big concern, a collapse or a wall moving out or something and having a major issue with being undermined by water and flooding from previous events. But he's going to give us a full draft, but the verbal so far from what he's shown or he's seen is that the building is structurally safe. Are there some things need to be taken care of? Yes. And so that'll be decided later from us, what we want to do with that building, but building is structurally safe.
That's good to know.
Do we want to go ahead and get some of the floor joists and stuff taken care of?
Well, that's something that we need to decide, moving forward, where do we?
I haven't been over there to see it myself, but I've heard that there was some past fixes that may not be as optimal.
Yeah,
as good as it could
there's,
be.
and as I walk there and there are a few floor joists that have some issues that need to be repaired. Yeah, it can become a money pit,
Good to hear that the wall hasn't displaced more than it already was before.
It has not.
So that's very good.
And actually the wall has never displaced.
I
there
thought
was-
it had moved out where you
Well,
could
there was,
actually get
there
it.
was verbiage that has said that, but there is a crack in the foundation.
Okay.
But it is none of the actual wall, and this would be the north wall,
Right.
has not moved
Okay.
at all. But there is a crack in the foundation that needs to be looked at and maybe fixed. But it has not moved, it has not heaved, it hasn't sunk. So
Good.
that's his recommendation, his visual look at it, that he thinks it's there's some, we're gonna have to put some money into it. Don't get me wrong there, but structurally it's okay.
Chris, anything from the Parks Department?
Nothing to report right now.
Good. Brian, E EDC.
Ready to, we're at 40%, leading the state as far as disbursement. Part of it was, which we talked about, very important. And zoning is not anything, just attached to existing, personal property investment. Other than that, just kind of entertaining and managing projects to probably maybe come for you guys.
So that is a heat capture.
Heat capture, they
At the
capture
pipeline.
They're capturing the heat off the existing pumps, which
Yep.
is just going off and just dissipating. They capture that heat off the egress pipeline, natural gas pumps, which turns the turbine and we can generate up to about 10 megawatts of electricity. Goes back to the project.
Doug, anything from you? Anything else? Ken? I know we didn't get to you last time, so.
Oh, that's okay. Last meeting was a long meeting. I just got a couple things. I hired in last year in May, and so this is almost completion of my 1 year part-time, full-time as your VSO. I just want to give you a little bit of an update. So since that time, I have personally talked to and inputted into our system at least 100 Others where they've come in and just had information or something like that that they wanted, in phone calls, but personally have touched at least 200 veterans' records and worked on getting them their benefits that they are entitled to for being veterans. So that's pretty cool to see that, and so thank you for giving me that opportunity to be able to do that for our veterans in our community. And I've seen some good stuff and I've seen some bad stuff. The last couple of weeks have been sort of good week but bad week, because I've had some veterans, some surviving spouses come in that because their veteran never did anything with the VA, they had no benefits. And that breaks my heart to sit in front of a surviving spouse and say, I can't help you because your husband didn't do anything. So getting the word out to these women see me, just let me sit there and talk to them and try to figure out what we can do for them is huge, especially in a surviving spouse that maybe is in their 70s, and this may have been just the extra money that they needed to be able to help get them through by living alone now. So, but I appreciate that, and that's just a little bit of information for you, for me. The next big thing coming up, and I've talked with Christy and her team about the new Indiana veteran property tax reform that's coming out. If you haven't had a chance to see this, or you don't know what it is, it's brand new. We're going from a property tax deduction to a property tax credit. And at one time, there was an assessed value on your property, so any veterans that had a property, I think, assessed at $240,000 for this. Well, now they've eliminated that, and so all veterans will be. The kicker to this, and I'm sort of happy, but going, oh my, this may be crazy, is that every veteran, even if they have this tax deduction already, has to come in and renew. They have to come to my office. Every veteran, every surviving spouse has to come back in and redo the entire form. It's not automatic. So that could be crazy in my office between July and December of this year. And so we're trying to get the word out. How do I get the word out?
Yeah.
And so we're trying to figure that out. Is it a mass mailing? Is it just to the property owners? Is it to everybody? My preference would be to every household, just because we hit veterans that may not know that my office exists within our county, and hopefully get more veterans in. But I also know that that's going to be a mad rush of people coming into my office for a one-man show, which is okay. It'll be fine. But this is huge, and the state is still working on the forms. They haven't got an answer on us yet. I've got a meeting on Wednesday, a quarterly meeting with my district officer, and we're going to talk about it. We also have a meeting in June for a whole training for all the VSOs across the state. We'll be talking about it then, but we're still waiting for further guidance from the state and the forms that they're going to be using. So, and I've already had people calling me for this. And I've actually turned away veterans who's wanting to fill out for their property tax just because I'm going to do it again, so no sense in you coming in and doing it. And so I think that's what I even told the girls over there is, hey, I wouldn't process anymore because we're going to redo them all, and it'll be okay.
Is that renewal yearly, or is it just because of this new law?
I think it's because of the new law.
Okay. So once they do it this time, they shouldn't have to do it until there's another change coming down.
There's another
Okay.
change is my understanding on it. So it's going to be a pretty big adventure and time consuming to get it all done. It's not hard, but it's still just something that we have
Takes
to
time.
do for every veteran and every surviving spouse that might be out there. So, but it'll be okay. But again, I just want to give you an update. Appreciate the support that you guys are giving and everyone in the county of sending veterans and referring them and giving my business cards out so they can come to me, because it's great to see these veterans finally getting not only them and their surviving spouses.
Awesome. You're doing fantastic.
Thank you, Ken.
Thank you, Ken.
Sheriff.
Yeah, just real quick, I shot you an email late last week. We tested all the push button paint blocks here last
Oh, yes,
week.
yes.
We did have one malfunction. We came in and repaired it. They suggest it's probably time to look at replacing that. It's 20 years old, so it'll dial up. So we get information up with IT and maybe get some quotes and see what we
Yep.
did.
I think we should.
I think so.
Yeah.
Thank
Thank
you,
you.
Sheriff. Abby, anything else? Leanne, anything else? Janet, Tricia, anything?
We just have early voting going on right now, so anybody wants to come out and vote, we're over the annex, we're about 2 more weeks. And then this Saturday from 8 to 3, we'll be in Westport Community Building, and the following Saturday, 8 to 3, we'll be at the preschool library.
And where can they find those Saturday voting locations? If they get online, I know she just said it, but just in case she didn't get picked up by the microphone. County website has any of the polling locations for somebody to come in and vote, right? Okay, very good.
I would like to thank Charlie Davis for helping me set up early voting. He was amazing help. And then also Gary and Mike, they've both been very helpful to my workers and making them feel at home. So I just
Awesome.
wanna bring that to your guys' attention, that we do appreciate all of them for helping us.
Thank you.
We appreciate Charlie too. Charlie's been a huge help. It's been really great to have him around.
How is your progress of your painting floor, all that going, Leanne?
So he's still in progress. Obviously, he gets pulled different directions. So
Yeah.
It's in progress, but it's go.
Okay,
Good.
Flooring gets put down mid-May, so
okay,
he's hoping to get painted done before mid-May.
all right,
All right.
thank you.
Thank you.
Brenda, how are things at the shelter?
Tails are wagging, lots of meows. Actually, we're short on cats at this point in time. We're waiting on the kitten wave to start. Last year it didn't start till June, but shaking on it a little bit, but no, we're anticipating new director joining us.
What is the update on the cattle?
Yep, that was on my list.
I saw that we just paid, Heath Dillon amount for the
Yes.
month,
Yes.
Okay.
So that would have been for his March fee.
right?
At this point in time, we have lost 2.
Okay,
We have gained 1. Body scores continue to improve. We're just waiting on final actions to occur so we can
so what is
close
the,
that one out.
what do we look at moving forward? Like, what is our final, what's the end goal here? Is to give those cattle back, to sell the cattle, to, what is an end game here for us?
So as we stand, the owner has continued to pay the care bond,
Okay,
which prohibits disposition of the cattle. I believe the next one probably is due in the next week or so. While all that is going on, the prosecutor's office did file criminal charges against him,
oh, okay,
which are pending, currently set for trial early May. Per normal course, I would expect that to get bumped at least once.
okay,
So, as the care bond keeps posting, we maintain them, and that gives us an income stream to pay for the care. As part of the criminal case, the statute allows for part of the disposition to be him not allowed to own these animals anymore, and/or would not be allowed to own any animals anymore, subject to the discretion of the court and possible settlement discussions that are going on between them at the moment. So, in terms of that, it's not entirely in our hands, it's unknown, pending the outcome of the criminal case. If the care bond ever fails to be posted, so like I said, I think it's within this next week or so, it's probably due again. There's a window of time we have to allow, then we could move the get them off the books, and then we would just sit on any potential proceeds until the criminal case is resolved again. So it's kind of multi-fronts going on right now, and a lot of waiting and seeing.
okay. So is his care bond, is it enough to cover what we're paying currently?
Yes,
Okay,
it was calculated based upon the per head per day rate we were given, estimated at 60 or 65 head, I forget
Okay.
what I used. So it's essentially meant to be exactly what the day-to-day care bond is. The first one was significantly higher to account for early medical treatment and care that we knew would be necessary, and the transportation costs that we knew we would incur. But now we've leveled out to a pure care bond.
okay, all right.
And if there's any shortcomings, we can reimburse ourselves if they go to sale.
Very good, thank you.
else from the shelter? All right, Christy, anything at the auditor's office?
No, not if the taxes are coming in. It would have been nice if timing could have been a little better with the veterans. We could have sent out that with our tax bills, but it just didn't coordinate. So yeah, we will look at doing a mass mailing according to whenever Ken gets information.
All right, if there's nothing else, I'll entertain a motion to recess.
So moved.
We are
Ken,
recessed.
I need your signature on this. And I need.
Oh, yeah.
Ed, good to see you.
Yes, ma'am. Hi there, Chairman Paisley.
Still maybe thinking interested in doing some.
Good to meet you. Very good.
Another engineering
Yes,
firm.
very good.
I also used to work for Washington County Highway. I was their assistant
Yes.
superintendent. I get to introduce myself to that gentleman.
Yeah.
But yeah,
We'd
we'd love to work with you if that's something you want to do.
Yeah, we'll keep the.
So was I. So I just got picked up from
understand.
Lockheed.
Yeah, I understand.
And